Have you ever put yourself in a situation where you've been catfished? Have you ever been in a situation where you've been lonely and you just accept all attention? Well, we're going to talk about Sister Hong, AKA the Red Uncle from Nanjing. I would say for myself personally, I think this is a fascinating story because there's so many facets. Not condoning. I'm just thinking about all the things you could be thinking about why this is and why this isn't. If I'm saying this wrong, let me know. But lida is what they were saying, was kind of like, well, I might as well since I come this far.
Just want you to love me, want you to need me. Want you to never leave my side. That's why I'm giving more.
All right, today we're using the notes because there's a lot of information that we're about to go through, and I'm gonna try to be as accurate as I can, okay? All right. Ohio, it's your boy Don Cortez, aka the mayor of Chome, back with another video in the booth of Alamas. And I want to jump on this very hot topic that I have been chatting with, deep discussions, not deep discussions, just still filtering through the videos of everything that is related to Sister Hong in just a moment. But please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, and comment on this video. These are some thoughts that I put myself together. Only because I don't want to present like what everyone else is doing, like the rankings or the drag performances or blah, blah, blah. I already done most of that stuff on my stories. But as I really think about this really does address a lot of other topics that we should just think of while we're trying to form our opinions on this situation. So I've gotten 4 points that I've put down and jotted here, just for food for thought for everyone to think of when they're looking at this case, because it hasn't gone to court yet. They're still investigating. I do believe that with the meaning of it all, it's going to be a huge Halloween costume this year. So this is bound to stay in the news at least for the next 3 months. And this is happening even if it hasn't been caught yet. So let's just go into how we should approach forming our opinions on a situation like this. Yeah, let's just kind of break it down and see what other angles we can take it from when forming our opinions. And so, first, let me go into some of the metrics, and we'll introduce the person named with the surname of, if I'm butchering these names, don't kill me or anything like that, but the man by the surname of Jiao, 38-year-old man from Nanjing, China. Goes by Sister Hong, aka the Nanjing Red Uncle. He was arrested earlier this month, as the point of this filming, on July 30th. He was arrested on July 3rd to 5th, I think is when they started reporting it. And he was arrested after being reported to the police of selling videos online, obscene materials in China. And more information came out after the announcement of this arrest. Some of those things, we'll just go by numbers, is allegedly 1,691 men, mainly straight men, were targeted in these videos that were taken without their consent by him hidden camera. There are over 1,000 videos that have been distributed and or uploaded online. So people who were in a secret chat that was $21 or 150 yuan for a subscription were able to have access to these videos. I'm sure they could do screenshots. I'm sure they can rip it from whatever they were doing, but those videos have now become famously put online, and people's faces are not blurred out. People are not wearing masks at all times, so it's very easy to identify the people who are in these videos, and people have been voicing their opinions, their concerns, their cries, their upsets, and all the things online, the reactions online, because they have noticed these people online. And it says so far 237 of the men in the video have either been investigated or come forward with admitting that it is them that is on there, either by being outed or going to the police themselves, but they're still under investigation, so I'm sure that more information will come as the story progresses. So with all the information that's there, there's a lot to break down in this, and I want to point out one of the biggest poinsettias here, which is the blurred lines of consent. So there's a lot of different news outlets that are putting this in the more negative light and putting it more on Jiao, who was the person who was inviting people to his house to then have sex with them unconsensually on video. But it seems that the way that Jiao had picked up these people were either by personal DMs or chatting boards and things like that. So there's had to be some kind of back and forth with the agreement of time and how, and can I see pictures and anything like that. There must have been some kind of, okay, I'll come through type situation. And it's not to say you can clock someone from a picture, but I'll definitely say that there wasn't just the, okay, you come now. Like it's not Uber. There's no, instant transaction with these kind of things, especially if you are part of the hookup culture or have hooked up before. So let's remember that point. That is not instantaneous. There had to be some kind of back and forth for there to be at least initial consent to at least come through. I was asking a friend who speaks Chinese Mandarin, and apparently the phrase that is used in some of the videos by the men, once they're able to distinguish that this is not a woman, or maybe they thought it was going to be a different experience, or maybe they knew, maybe they were kind of making up their minds as they were seeing those happening. But if I'm saying this wrong, let me know. But lida is what they were saying, was kind of like, well, I might as well since I come this far.
So one of the most popular kind of slogan from this incident is 来都来了. Because one of the guys said this. How do we say this in English? So one way is might as well. He figures, oh my God, I went through all this trouble. I came here. Might as well. The second way, you can say, why not? Oh, I'm here already. Why not? The third way, you can say, oh, it's better than nothing. Well, I know he's a guy. He's also ugly, but it's better than nothing.
So there was consent that was kind of happening on the way there. They came in, they were anxious, they were not sure if they wanted to, but they did take a shower, so that further shows that there was consent. But then maybe they were, touching the face of Jiao, touching the makeup and trying to touch other parts, and eventually just went through with the deed. So out of all of the videos that have been surfaced that I've seen for myself, it doesn't seem like anyone specifically walked out. Like maybe it was a one or two where someone stopped in between and left out afterwards, but the majority of the people went through with the whole entire transaction up into climax. So blurred lines of consent is like, okay, they came in, they were not sure, but they just took it as is. They could have said yes and no. There was no, hey, sign this, are you okay with this type thing. It was kind of gone through, so it's very blurred. Another thing is that there were some people who were repeaters. So maybe they had been deceived the first time, but they kept coming back. I remember there was one of the guys who came in and they were able to identify that he came at least once every 3 months because there was a different season. He was wearing clothes on some, a winter coat jacket on the other one, a raincoat on the other one. So there was some people who were consensual with this entire situation. There were repeaters. So we have to also think about, that part is they weren't hooked or they weren't traumatized. They came on their own will. That's one thing we should think about in terms of blurred lines of consent. And the other thing is Jiao was trying to either keep the fantasy going if it was already consensual and agreed that he would be cross-dressing and they would be doing stuff with him. Sometimes you can see in the video where he lifts up his shirt in the front and his bits are tucked in. You can only see the tuft of hair that's down there. So as it's to look like it was presenting as a lady parts. And you can sometimes see when the victims were in the shower, or the people who were being unconsensually taken videos of were in the shower, and you would see Jiao re-up the amount of lube on the backside. So you can see it was all kind of planned out, but it's also kind of like to lead into fantasy, and people still went through with the whole thing. So let's remember the blurred line of consent from both sides. Nothing was verbally agreed with there. We don't know if it was verbally agreed with in the chats, and we definitely don't know, where everyone's point of view and their mindset were each time they were coming over. So the next thing I want to point out, and this is the most scathing one because this is a repeat this is always on repeat. This is a broken record. There are lots of outlets, especially conservative ones or ones that want to, get the clickbait, that want to point out LGBTQ people who target non-LGBTQ people for sexual acts or deceiving them. And as I mentioned before, blurred lines of consent kind of goes into this as well. But we want to show, let's look at what the facts are. Look what the articles are saying. They're saying, oh, he targeted them and he led them over. But there were tributes that were coming in. There were people bringing household items and foods and things like that. So if you can see what the actual action is, you can see that this was agreed upon. This is transactional for both sides. The item never is removed from the table that's there. And especially for the repeaters who are bringing constantly different things, you can be able to see that this was accepted, at least on video. Well, not the video itself, but it was accepted when you can see the interaction before and after the transaction, that this was agreed upon beforehand. I bring this, you do this, we never speak of this again. But now we are, because it's on video. So let's remember that this was transactional, obviously, and of course with just like a security camera, when no one is really paying attention or thinking a security camera is there to watch me. You can see that this was two adults who were saying, yeah, this is what we agreed upon, so now let's get down to it. So let's remember that part. Not condoning it, but saying that's what we can be able to obviously see. The other thing I want to point on is that, of course, when you are transactional, there's some people who just say, just get down to business. There were people who were kissing. A lot of the times, Jiao was the only one who was just being the vessel for them. Some people were even trying to pleasure Jiao on some occasions. They were all very clear once moves were made on what they were okay with doing. So again, we don't have chats to see what you're good with, what are you good with, what you're not good with. But seeing as it's a country like China that may keep that information from us or delete that information or omit that information, we don't know that. But you can see the people who were going through with it completely is seeing that there were boundaries that at least could have been at the minimal be put there. So let's not put the narrative out there that Jiao was targeting them. Obviously, if they've gone through with it itself and they're bringing tokens, there was some kind of agreement, at least before we were able to see them on the video. Think about that point. Now, point number 3 is the faces of these people were not blurred. So a lot of these people were able to be identified by friends, families, partners, girlfriends, wives. Someone's a kindergarten teacher and the mother recognized them as the kindergarten teacher or something like that. So these faces were not blurred, so the privacy, at least in the net, was not protected as well. So it's kind of unfair to them that, one, it wasn't consensually taken on video, and now that they're trying to make a spectacle of this or make this a big thing in terms of bringing it to the social forefront, these people are not going to be able to be protected either. And since this is China, over 1 billion people in one country, it's going to be easy for them to be able to search and say, oh, were you involved with that? And it really does expose these people just from the unconsensual part of it all. But again, because they agreed to come to these places, even if they were not available to be on the camera, if Jiao had been taped on security camera, they're still on the security camera of the building that is protecting the building. So, just in terms of how this is all handled, is very, very messy. So there are people who, even if they'll protect the straight guy and his identity, they're still putting pictures out there of the victims that without any mosaics on them and not blurring the face. So think about that part when you are making your TikTok video or your Instagram video. And then there's one other point that you want to point out, the loneliness that comes in with this whole situation. Like, when I think of someone who, if allegedly is a 1,691 people, if you did that every day, if you filmed someone every day or filmed with someone every day, or even twice in a day, it still takes over 2 years for you to be able to film this thing. So you have to think this is a long-term operation. And if this kind of behavior was exhibited, you can see that obviously this is a pattern for Jiao. On the videos, not to empathize or anything like that, it didn't seem forceful, or it didn't seem like in a mean-spirited way. It just seemed really transactional. So with Nanjing being one of the 38 megacities that are in the whole entire country and one of the 18 that are in China, you're gonna think about, okay, if you continue this kind of pattern, you don't know exactly where his headspace is when he's inviting these people over. So you have to be empathetic to how he got there, and we also have to be logical in saying it was a crime and it's immoral. So think about those two things when you're forming an opinion. The other thing I want to say is, I'll go back to the same point of the being transactional. With the repeaters that were also seen on the video, you can see this is very much the gig. This is understood on video, at least, that this is what they're going to do and this is what they're not going to do. So, and you know, these are men, some of them are with people, and you know, they always say, you know, men and their testosterone just makes them even more hornier. So they're taking this and saying, hey, I'm not getting much with my girlfriend, or maybe my wife is pregnant or something like that. They're using this as a transaction to just go on with their day, the same way you go to the gym, the same way you ride the train, and the same way that you go to the fast food restaurant. Like, it seemed very routine for both sides. So let's also think about that part when we're thinking about how these people got to this point. One other thing, actually this is extra point, point number 4, or 5. This is one of the biggest ones. As I mentioned, a lot of conservative outlets were talking about the targeting of LGBT people towards the non-LGBT people, and we talk about the spread of infectious diseases. No one, by the way, up until this point, July 30th, no one has been identified as being the carrier of anything. It's all been rumors. There was an article that said, 3 people have been identified already, but not even Jiao was identified as the person who was carrying it. And if you look at the videos, yeah, it's quite risky. There's probably about 80% of the time when there's no condom being used, and then there's 20% where there's either no penetration or there is a condom being used. But you know, these are the responsibilities of both parties when they're going into these situations. And if there were repeaters that did the same kind of reckless behavior, we have to think about, you know, any of those 237 to 1,691 men could have been the carriers of something, especially when there's no verbal consent or no verbal follow-up on who's got what, who's doing what, whatever. If they're just thinking of it as a transaction, they're just trying to go in and out, literally, and they're not thinking about that until now. What the silver lining of this all is that the hospital that is in the same city has offered free services to be able to get everyone who's involved checked. So I don't think that's going to bring people out of the woodworks for them to be able to go and, you know, actively say, oh, I was one of the victims. But yeah, I think that it just definitely leaves you out there to be able to think, yeah, with people who are just engaging in this situation, whether it's transactional or not, whether it's raw or not, like, there's 80% people not using condoms, so of course something's going to happen. So let's think about the sexual health and our own sexual health when we are out here doing the same thing that is not on video. So those are a couple of points that we should all be thinking about when we're making opinions or when we're trying to put this out there in our own way, either entertainingly, either informatively, speculatively, or even if you just want to evaluate the whole situation. I don't know what it is for any of you out there. If you have some comments, if you have an opinion, let me know down below in the comments. But I would say for myself personally, I think this is a fascinating story because there's so many facets. Not condoning. I'm just thinking about all the things you could be thinking about why this is and why this isn't, and how we probably won't be able to see any of this information come to light because it's China and they're very secretive. They don't do court cases like America where you have freaking, you know, Judge Judy doing the whole case or something like that. Like, this is literally something that's going to probably be kept from us unless people online or some of the victims actually share their own stories or someone does a documentary or something like that. So yeah, we don't know a lot of information, but let's be logical and let's be rational about how we form our opinions, not just because we're religious or we're not religious or we're straight or not straight, but think about all the angles that could put all of these actors in the situation with Jiao and how Jiao himself got to this situation. as well, before we make, harsh judgments or opinions online. One thing I want to say is in terms of the consequences, there is a 2-year maximum prison sentence once convicted for the selling of illicit videos online or wherever, the distribution of, and I'm pretty sure there will be some kind of fine and or extra years put on because this tax evasion. Like, if we can think about the silver lining of everything, this subscription model, which has not revealed how many people were actually in the group before it was shut down, but the subscription model itself, if it's monthly, that's a lot of money. And as I've mentioned before, the numbers, 1,691 men, if this was filmed daily even, it's still about 4 years of content. And you don't know how many are going up every month. So let's just, think of the consequences that are also going to be punitive financially. And we talk about the health and the spread of infectious diseases. There is a 3 to 10 year maximum sentence for spreading infectious diseases, because y'all know that China was the harshest even during COVID. I'm pretty sure those laws were there before this happened. But that's going to be harder to prove because, again, there's so many people involved. You don't know who started what, who did what, when, where, unless they want to throw Jiao under the bus and say, well, you were obviously the actor in all of this. You're in the middle of all of this. So we're just going to throw it on you. That's another thing. So minimum 5 years to 10 years. 5 years to 12 years, as we know so far, but there could be other charges that are put on them as well. And hell, if he only takes if he only gets the 2 years from the first charge and comes back out, this is gonna be like an Anna Delvey moment. This is gonna be like a hot felon moment. Like, I feel like the celebrity that has been put upon Jiao, based off of the internet and y'all out there, well, now me too, but putting the name out there is going to make everyone wonder what the hell was going on. So this might actually boost him to celebrity. Might be able to pay off his taxes and fines after the fact with books and videos and things like that. Maybe as a way to clean up his own image. Maybe as a way to give solace and closure and apology to the victims. I'm not sure, but these are consequences and things that could happen after the fact. So let's keep those things in mind as the story progresses. Let's make sure we're all up to date on the facts. Let's make sure that we are not looking at speculative sentences. Let's try to get numbers and percentages and things like that before we make our opinions on the situation. And also just be empathetic of all parties involved, because this is not a light crime. It's very psychological, it's very mental, it's very strategic, and it's also very intentional. So let's keep those things in mind when talking about this situation and other situations that arise in the future. So yeah, I'm not gonna say what my opinion is because my opinion does not exactly matter, but I want to say that I did think about all these things as the story has been progressing, and I hope that everyone else can think the same thing as well. So that is it for my rant for today. Think about these very important angles when forming an opinion or trying to judge someone else. That's all I have to say about that. As I said, I've been watching the videos just to see what is going on. There's just like, an actual production, there's a lot going into this in such a short time. You can see the interaction between the folks. You have to read the body language. That's one of my favorite things to do in terms of people watching, seeing how people actually interact. And you can see that this doesn't look malicious on video, but because of the actual act being put into law, as well as our own morals, we can see it as completely malicious. But let's try to think about it from all the angles. That's it for me tonight. Again, like, subscribe, share, and comment below. I want to know your feelings about this. Are you an influencer who has covered this? Are you a entertainer or someone online who has made content to make fun of this, bring light to this, make understanding of this? Do you know someone who has? Let me know. I want to see more angles of this. Maybe there's something I didn't put into the video right now, but I would love to hear what you have to say in other parts to share about this story. So that is it for me tonight. I'm going my ass home. I will see y'all on the next video, and I hope you all stay safe during the rest of the summer. Stay off the videos. Peace. I would say that this is embedded a little bit in gay culture in terms of the come and go type situation and no strings attached, as hookup culture is more glorified on this side because there are a lot of more people who are definitely more free in that sense, free to love, as we will say. So people not understanding that part or not being able to get into the mentality of that, it's okay, you don't have to understand it.